The absurdity of Ramon Abate, Abel, and Dayane Muniz. We warned them they did it in the Libertadores, but the important thing isn't who was in the Libertadores. It's not what we see, that it was done in favor of Palmeiras. Leila doesn't complain about that. Abel Ferreira stays quiet, guys. It's absurd. It's absurd. What happened is absurd, my friends. It's jaw-dropping. It's surreal. Well, we're also here bringing you the best moments from Leonardo Jardim's presentation. Let's discuss some situations. Our reporter's question about Luis Araujo, he confirmed that he really likes Luis Araujo. We had the new manager, the new coach, putting on the sacred jersey. Look at that. They joked about whether he was going to play. There you go. Look at that, bro. Look at Leonardo Jardim then with the sacred jersey. And we're going to bring you the main moments from Leonardo Jardim's presentation. Look, we also have something here to talk to you about. The issue here, as already mentioned, is that today the council will vote on both sponsorships from Demicon and Gakmoto. Right, which will go on Flamengo's training jerseys. And here we are saying, guys, greetings, red and black fans. This is Flamengo. Welcome to the Paparazzo Rubro Negro channel. If you're just joining, please follow, like, and share on all platforms. On YouTube, subscribe, turn on notifications, and give the video a like. You can get this jersey, the long sleeve jersey, the Feruza, Black Diamonds. You can get it on YouTube shopping at the official Shopee store. Here from Flamengo, and you can get all these jerseys, and you really help Flamengo a lot when you buy the official jersey. Thank you, guys. Man, I even want to tell you, I have a bit of a sty here, but it's already getting better. But for those of you who might have noticed that my eye is a bit more closed, it's because I have this little problem, but everything's fine. Okay, guys, it's not conjunctivitis, nothing serious. Well, let's bring the information from José Boto, who stated that he was the one who asked for Felipe Luis's dismissal. It wasn't anyone else. He was the one who asked BAP for Felipe Luis's dismissal. The information I have, okay, is that the whole story about José Boto leaking that conversation with Felipe Luis became really awkward, saying that he tried to keep Felipe, putting all the blame on BAP and that Boto. So he wouldn't be fired because he was really close to it. He needed to make it clear that the decision had come from him, and he said that in the press conference. Let's go Friday, November. Good afternoon, everyone. Look at that. Look at that. Make a diagnosis, find solutions. Good afternoon, afternoon. I made the diagnosis, gave the solution, and the president accepted it. He made the final decision, as you say. It's already out, right? Boto's been exposed. He says they won't reveal the reasons, but we already know everything that has been leaked, that has been exposed. The solution is here. Leonardo Jardim. So Leonardo Jardim was introduced there, guys, and he says that he's a name who can manage this Flamengo squad well. A recommendation from Jorge Jesus, actually, Leonardo Jardim, who is a recommendation from Jorge Jesus. I'm going to show you now the highlights of Leonardo Jardim's presentation. I'll start with our reporter's question about Luis Araujo. Next, we'll bring you many other things. Jardim, speaking for the first time as Flamengo's coach, said that he called Felipe Luis. Talking about similarities with Jorge Jesus, saying that he already had his ticket bought and that he had a wedding in Brazil. Also talking about Pedro, he was honest about Pedro. That's important, huh? He knows Pedro's quality, but the players will have to prove themselves. They'll have to prove it. Obviously, it's just 2 days now, but the players, as time goes by, will have to prove they deserve it, really. Some of Felipe Luis's ideas will continue. He also says he answered whether he's strict or not, and also talked about how his first days at Flamengo have been. But look, just stay here, because next we're going to talk about the issue with Abel Ferreira and Dayane Muniz.
I didn't want to swap Mateus for Luis Araujo because of the players who can play in 2 different positions. One plays more on the wing and the other is a more central player, a more dynamic player in terms of the game. But for sure, we tried to bring Araujo to strengthen our squad, but Flamengo didn't allow us. It also happened with Mateus, who went to Saudi Arabia, and also with Gonçalves, who we were also interested in, but in the end he didn't come. Because, as I told you, I had few players with technical skills, and I wanted to bring in some players with technical skills, mainly to give the team other qualities. First, I want to thank Flamengo, Mr. President, and Mr. Boto for this invitation. It is a great honor for me to wear the jersey and coach a club with the size of Flamengo. We are talking about the top in the world, the biggest in the Americas, and it is a great honor. And I hope to be up to the task to honor this jersey and know that I will offer what I have always offered in my life, which is to achieve the club's goals. And in this club, as you know, the goals are to win and bring trophies and to play football that pleases our fans. Thank you. What made you change your mind about those words, which were heartfelt, truly heartfelt? Because I felt very good in Belo Horizonte, because I believed in a medium-term project, a medium and long-term project, not just a one-year project. But life sometimes gives us some surprises. And I personally had some problems in my family and personal life that I had to solve. And at the same time, within the structure, there were some ideas different from those I believed in. And that's why the Cruzeiro chapter ended earlier. But as I already said, I was emotional because I believed the project was going to be long-term. But I was also naive, something I'm not usually. I'm actually very pragmatic, but I'm not naive. But sometimes emotion leads us to make some unfortunate remarks. And now, as you know, Coach, I'm not talking there. No, I'm asking to use the person I want. I've had experiences like this before, including one in Monaco. When I left, we had a 4-0 victory against League One in December 2019. And I know it's not an easy situation, but soon after I received the invitation from Flamengo, you know that I have some closeness with Felipe. I called him and said, Felipe, you probably don't want to talk much right now. And in the message it said, if it weren't for Jardim, there would be someone else. Because the decision about your departure, I have no interference at all, and our relationship on my side always remains the same. And he replied to me, Jardim, our relationship is the same. The availability when I'm in the routine, being together is the same thing. So regarding Felipe, I also brought the information to the players on the day I arrived, because I know what it means to be a coach. This is the kind of life it is. It's not worth it. And I've already received coaches from the teams. I was fired and welcomed the other coach who came in, because it's not his fault at all. He's coming into a process and he has to do his job. And I, in the same way, I spoke with Felipe and he also answered me in a harsh, mature way. And I believe that this also made possible the relationship we built, especially with Marcos. It's difficult because we're 4 days away from a derby, and I know how important the derby is for the fans, for everyone. And we also want to compete against the opponent who has given us some trouble in the past, right? I arrived without a coaching staff because this happened very close to the weekend after Flamengo's invitation. And the coaching staff was all scattered because no one was prepared for anything. I, interestingly, was in Brazil, right? I had come to Brazil for a wedding and it was easy for me to go from Belo Horizonte to Rio, but I also made the most of it. And I thank the resident staff of Flamengo for all the support they've given me, and the players who have also had a fantastic attitude, for welcoming me well, for trying to develop the ideas in the best way. And it was 2 days where I didn't have time for anything. I went to meetings, I went to observe, to see what it's like, to see a bit of what's going on around. Honestly, I'm extremely focused because I know we only have 4 days to organize a game as important as Flamengo versus Fluminense in the final of the Rio Championship. Thank you. The way I live and work with soccer, I always give importance to the type of squad I have and what their main characteristics are. I believe we already have a DNA formed within the team and within the club, and I definitely want to add some of my own personal touch. But we want to keep it because the squad is also built that way. It's not just to have those characteristics, but also the profiles of the players. We're not going to come here and radically change some things, even though I believe in a lot of the things that were already being worked on. And with these players, we're going to try little by little to add some personal touches, to introduce some ideas, but without changing what was Flamengo's strength last year, especially, and we want to keep those characteristics. Thank you. There's something I've said many times already, isn't there? I'm passionate about things related to Brazilian soccer. It's not just Brazil. The people love soccer. Soccer is like a religion. The packed stadiums, the support from the fans, all of these are extremely important factors for a coach, aren't they? And my life in Brazil, even since last year, was a bit guided by these facts because I was in the Middle East, and the Middle East is completely the opposite, right? It is. We're not talking about salaries, but we're talking about attendance, the crowd, the excitement, the emotion, all of these things. And Brazil has that, even though it's a country that also makes soccer amazing. I had already seen Brazil before coming to Cruzeiro about 20 times or so. I know from Manaus to Porto Alegre. I know Brazil better than some Brazilians who talk to me. And that's what happens. And that's extremely motivating. Then we have the country. Brazil is not a country. Brazil is a continent. Of course, after that, there is travel fatigue, which are very significant, but we have to know how to live with that and learn, right? And for sure, nowadays, I'm much more adapted than when I first arrived to this kind of travel, to managing daily life. Because there are fewer breaks, there's less time to work, there's a lot of recovery. And for sure, if I could reduce the schedule and instead of having 70 something or 80 games, reduce it to 50, that would be ideal, but we can't. We get what we get, and that's where we have to work on this. some of Felipe's ideas will continue, right? But I also believe that the game of soccer has many nuances, at least the way I see the game. Often I see teams play on the counter, while at other times they focus on possession. I think a good team always has to have this ability to play under the opponent's pressure, sometimes playing deeper, keeping more possession, or focusing on transitions. The best teams in the world have this variability, which is not always doing the same thing, otherwise it starts to become easy. If we are only a possession-based team and our opponents press us, we will have more difficulty. It was even one of the strategies I used when I played against Flamengo, to press Flamengo more so their transition wouldn't be as good. That's why we have to balance this in the player's condition, but we don't want to stray from the DNA of this group, because this group has a certain DNA. And in the present, which is what's important right now, we have to play soccer according to our players, our similarities. The main similarity is our passion for the game, passion for our careers. Jorge also started from the bottom. Jorge started in the lower divisions and reached the highest level through hard work and attitude. And his career is a bit like mine. We started from a starting point. We didn't start in the first division. We started in the third. We started at Camargo. And that connection and similarity brought us closer together. In terms of the game, we definitely like to be dominant teams. We like to be teams that play to win. That's fundamental in strategic terms. I'm definitely the most adaptable when it comes to what I have in the squad. And the way he manages, usually in his projects, he sometimes buys a lot of players to develop that idea. But I think the big similarity is the passion for the career and the passion for what we do. Everyone, you all know Pedro, Pedro's qualities. Pedro is a box player, a player with a very strong finishing ability. There are aspects, that's why he sometimes plays less, because maybe in other aspects he wasn't giving what the coach wanted in other areas. At this moment, we're starting from scratch. I believe in him. I believe in him when I say I believe in him. I'm not saying he's going to play every game and always play 90 minutes. I believe in the qualities he has, and I believe that the other small weaknesses we can overcome with motivation and effort. But that's something that will be determined day by day. We're not going to be here analyzing players after just 2 days. Anything I said would just be speculation, because we'll see what happens next.
Strike that balance to have a good connection, and even so, not let them get out of line, so to speak.
I don't know if I'm strict. I have my own ideas, but there's one thing: I have a relationship of great respect for the players, of closeness, of being close to the players. But always along that line, there is no father figure. There's a relationship of respect for the son. But there's a line there. That's the line. You can't cross that line. There's no friendship to go out for coffee, always defending the club's interests. That's my idea. Honestly, in my career, I didn't have major problems with the players. I always defend well-being, the group, relationships, the dynamics. That's why I said it right from the start. For me, it's unacceptable for someone to be above the group and for individual interests to be above the club symbol we represent. I don't believe in working that way. I believe in a strong group. I believe in a group with good dynamics, a good relationship between coach and players, because I believe they will run for me and give their best. If I can get close to them and manage to instill an idea, because if the coach can't instill that idea, no project will succeed. Thank you, Jorge.
That's it, my friends. So, did you follow Leonardo Jardim? Now it's time for us to talk about Varmeiras. Varmeiras is here. That's crazy, right, man? That's crazy. Another thing happening, another mistake, and you guys know what happened. People posted it here. Dayane Muniz was who? That handball by Palmeiras, she didn't call it, and then everyone complained and everything. And now she was on VAR along with Ramon Abatti Abel in the Sporting Cristal game, and they disallowed Sporting Cristal's goal after having already validated it. They disallowed the goal, claiming that the ball hit the player's hand. A play much less clear than the one she failed to call. The penalty against Palmeiras is surreal. It's surreal. It's shameful, right? And get ready, they've already put her in the Libertadores. Ramon Abatti Abel is with her. They're already preparing for both of them to officiate soon in Palmeiras games or in games that are important for Palmeiras. You can get ready. We're keeping an eye on it. We've got a sty, but we're watching. We're seeing what's happening. This is a disgrace. This is absurd. It's absurd. How can the criteria change completely from one game to another? What can you do when it's against Palmeiras? He was already suspended in the past, and now he is again. Guys, Abel Ferreira doesn't mention this when he complains that they suspended the referee. It's cowardly towards the referee. Or say that since the penalty against São Paulo, they weren't calling anything for Palmeiras. Now they've started calling and also stopped calling things against Palmeiras too. This pressure from Abel is normal, and Leila, who says she never complains, she uses Abel as a shield, and she also puts Abel out there to complain. He's the guy who goes up front to complain, or the assistants and so on, but that's how everything works with Palmeiras. Meanwhile, Ramon Abatti Abel, Dayane. These people will keep on refereeing and will try to get on our nerves. That's it. Please follow, like, share, and comment on all platforms. What do you think? Subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and hit the like button on the video. Greetings to all Flamengo fans. This is for my people, all right?